resource. With the kids, you know, yeah, the 80s, you know, she shouldn't go to class. He's got a rough walking on.
This is how
We're gonna call our meeting to order. And we're gonna begin with reports of retired officers, election of new officers.
There are none, you may state none at this time.
There are none. Renewal of staff appointments.
motion to approve for
So included in the packet was an outline of the renewal of staff appointments and seeking approval for renewal of the following appointments from April through the following March. Michael Subley, Ethics Officer, Susan Campbell, EEO Officer, Aaron Jenkins, FOIA and OMA Officer and Assistant Secretary, Paula Hughes, DDLO Officer, and Ron Shepard, Assistant.
I'll make a motion to approve the new staff appointments.
the second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, approval of last month minutes.
Oh, wait, we still have the approval.
Schedule of minutes
Yeah.
or schedule.
Schedule a meeting.
I'm sorry.
I move that we approve the trustees meeting schedule for April 2024 to March 2025.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Now the approval of last month minutes.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Michael?
Great, thank you. So first off, I want to welcome Stacy Reed-Knuckles and David Hicks, who I believe has joined us on Zoom as our guests today. They are here to shadow the board and learn about nonprofit board leadership as part of Northern Illinois Center for Nonprofit Excellence's Equity in Board Representation Program. So Stacy's joined us and she's singing and learning a little bit about how our board operates as she's participating in that program. So we welcome her today. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Next, we will recognize employees celebrating an anniversary with RMT in the month of April. This month's list includes Joe Eternal, 20 years, the paratransit operator, Paul Hastert, 17 years as bodyman, Matthew Douglas, 14 years as a fixed route operator, Jose Medina, 14 years as a fixed route operator, James Gladney, 12 years as a fixed route operations supervisor, Tom Cross, 12 years as a custodian, Javis Griffin, 8 years as a fixed route operator, Bobby Tisdale, 8 years as a fixed route operator, Virginia Blakely Quanabom, 8 years as a fixed route operator, Malcolm Vogt, 5 years as a custodian, Maurice Foreman, 5 years as a fixed route operator, and Natasha Austin, 1 year as a fixed route operator. So we certainly appreciate those employees and their continued dedicated service to the RMT in our community. One other person, operator that we'd like to recognize this month is Ali Anasaski. Ali is retiring as a full-time fixed route operator as of this month. Ali's been with us for 24 years and 8 months. And certainly we congratulate him on his retirement and appreciate his years of service. Thankfully, Ali has decided to stay with us for a few extra months or whenever as a part-time fixed route operator. So we'll continue to have him on our roster as well, and he'll continue to provide that great customer service and safe operating that he's been doing for years and years. So
Great.
recognize those employees. Lastly, I'd like to also recognize Christina Gibson, our paratransit coordinator, who graduated last week as part of the 69th class of the Leadership Rockford program. So congratulations to Christina. She follows in the esteemed footsteps of one Orlando Totley, who participated in the program last year.
I crawl so she can walk.
That program continues to be one that's a great program in our community, and we certainly like to include those employees from our staff to district from that. So I will look forward to identifying somebody for our next class.
So that's awesome. Excellent.
All right, with that, then we can move on to the main part of the agenda. First and foremost, finance, payment of bills, including your packet with the AGHL services running through March 31st of 2024. And the Williams McCarthy services rendered through March 22nd of 2024. Are there any questions on either one?
I had none.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move on then to the Schwab actuarial services. Approval of payment of invoice dated February 29th, 2024, in the amount of $9,450 to be paid from the pension account. So that's part of their prior February presentation and that analysis. So I have a motion to approve that from the paid from the pension account.
Also moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Then moving on, we have the approval of accounts payable invoices. This month's total is $2,139,464.01. Just a note on that, that includes the 14 paratransit vehicles that we recently ordered and had delivered that are now on property. So that's the higher total than what we typically have for month. Any questions?
We'll make a motion to approve accounts payable in the amount of $2,139,464.01.
So I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Next up, then we have the approval of the unaudited financial statements for February of 2024. As noted, operating revenues are up 7.5 roughly for the month of February and 8.43 year to date, and expenses are down 6.6 for February and 1.1 year to date. So we're still staying with budget.
I'll move that we approve the unaudited financial statements for February 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Moving on then to the operation, or I'm sorry, item C then, moving on to the pension portfolio review for the period ending March 31st, 2024, and the pension investment statement for the month ending March 31st. Are there any questions on either one of those, the pension portfolio review or the pension investment statement, including the packet?
No questions. I just like the positive news.
Yes. That's good to see. So, no other questions, we can then move on. E3 operations. So in your packet, there's the fixed route ridership statistics report for March of 2024 and demand response ridership report through February of 2024. Just a couple notes on those on the fixed route side. Again, as you can see, up 19.9 in March and over 36 for the year to date, fiscal year to date. Just note that when you're looking at that, weekdays, there were 21 days this month in comparison to 23 days in 2023. So you look at the percentage difference, that's why it's a little bit less. And then weekends were 5 days this year versus 4 days in 2023, and Easter was in March. So that accounts for a little bit of variance that you'll see in the month to month this year versus last year. Any questions on that? Yeah. Okay. And I guess the board's periodically asked about where we're at in relation to national trends. Fourth quarter APTA ridership statistics are in, national statistics and for peer agencies across the state. And so fourth quarter, they run the calendar year versus our fiscal year, but still good, a good snapshot to look at full 2023 and where we're at. So national trends, overall bus ridership nationally is up 17%, calendar year 2023 versus 2022. For urban areas of populations over 100,000 up to less than 500,000, up 16.9. So looking at those and keeping those in consideration, our numbers ended at 26.6% up calendar year last year. So we're 10% above where the national average is in our peer threshold. So we ended the year over 1 million rides, 1,049,000 rides. So up over 1 million, which is great. You know, how's that look statewide? We had the highest increase of the year in comparison to our peer agencies, Springfield, Peoria, Moline, and Champaign. The next closest was Springfield at 25.6%, so just a percent below us, but everyone else was closer to that national average. So that's very positive trends that we're seeing, but is putting our ridership increases in context. We're doing a little bit better than agencies across the state, and certainly a lot more than what we're seeing on average across other properties of our sizes. So Any other?
Creeping up to pre-COVID numbers.
Getting there, we're still trending around at 75-76% in compared to where we were fiscal year 2019. But you know, I think we're 5 years past that now, so you're almost like putting that into using that as a reference point anymore. It's I think trending where we're at year over year, and you see that growth is really what we're focused on, and really the positive direction we're heading, and kind of ways out that we really are having a positive year compared to where others are having seen their ridership this year. So with that, then on the demand response side, I'll note that as we've seen, we're still up positive, actually had a positive month compared to February of last year, about 47%, but 4.8 year to date. But that's really in February we had 2 additional weekdays compared to the previous year, which drives those increases more so than what you see in other months. And so that's what's factoring into that. So, any other questions on the ridership report?
Just thinking maybe in the sure I don't need an answer today, but as we're trending back, we're recovering. I'm curious to see which routes maybe are performing better than, worse than, right, as we're going through all of our studies, just so it doesn't have to be like a monthly report, but just something.
Okay, yeah, we'll take a look at that, and I think those are with our better set of data, that's kind of more and more realistic. But we've been doing some trend analysis with R1 now, where we send over our monthly update, and we have a better sense of where we can look at that at. So that's readily available. So a couple other while we're on the operations section, just a couple updates on things that are going on the demand response side. The contract with TripSpark, our demand response replacement software, was finally finalized after some extended review of that contract language. And so now that's done, we've got a kickoff meeting scheduled for next week with them to get that implementation underway. And so a reminder to the board with that, we'll finalize the implementation schedule. That'll be about a 12-month installation replacement for the core system, and then the subsequent customer-facing pieces of that will be installed in 4-week increments after that. So all told, project closeout should happen within the next 6 months, but with the core system in place within 3 months. So positive news, and really looking forward to getting that underway. That long anticipating that project kicking off. So that's some good news. The other thing I'd like to mention to the board is we finalized the service plan with Boone County and BCCA. This is in preparation for the discontinuation of the fixed route service in Boone County. As you know, we provide those 4 trips throughout the day, weekdays only, and just with the low level of ridership that those are exhibiting, the county has asked us to reinvest that time into extended demand response service. So that'll come in and will come in the schedule as a extra hour of service in the morning. Instead of starting at 8 a.m. on Monday through Friday, it'll start at 7 a.m. and then service will go till 6 p.m. whereas today it ends at 4:30 p.m. So we'll have the opportunity to have more access for work trips and so forth around the schedule. Also, we'll included in that service expansion with Saturday service, demand response service from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. So they never had weekend service on demand response, so that'll be something else that's being added in lieu of the changes. All transfers will happen to East Side Transfer Center, so their demand response vehicles will, when folks schedule rides, we'll schedule them and they'll come over to the East Side Transfer Center and make connections with our fixed route at that location. Additionally, what we talked with the county about is no longer charging an additional fare for transfers. So they'll honor our fares, we'll honor their fares. A minimal fare impact on this, considering that the number of rides that we're experiencing. So this should be a benefit to customers in reducing the financial burden of paying on both systems now. So it just seems like a logical progression of that, of trying to reduce the economic impact of riding between our 2 systems. That's something that the county is is open and agreeable to. So, with that, that'll be codified in an IGA, revised IGA with the county, which we have a draft out with them right now that we're reviewing. We'll also be conducting a public hearing in concert with the, Boone County, administrative staff and the rural program, because these service changes are also are impacting the rural program, which they're responsible for, but it's the same service. And so we'll have a joint public hearing that we'll be conducting here in a couple of weeks. So in mid-May is what we're anticipating, identifying a date. Once that's done, then the IGA can go to the board for approval and then come back to our board for approval here, hopefully by the May meeting. If not that, then the June. So that's what to anticipate with that changeover. Finally, on the fixed route side and on the operations side, I'd like to mention also we had a kickoff meeting last week for the VRT corridor analysis study with Sam Schwartz, and our one staff. That'll be a bi-weekly meeting moving forward. So that's another exciting project that we're looking at getting underway and reporting back to the board on. So any questions on any of those areas? Okay, great. We'll move on then to the maintenance report for vehicles and facilities. So first off is a report on fixed route buses and paratransit vehicles included in your packet for March. Any questions on any of that information? Okay, there's no other questions. We can move on to the Dan. Is anything you wanted to highlight or note on that?
No, not right now.
Okay. We'll move on to the vehicle and facilities reports. So Dan's report, obviously you can see the progress on the charging infrastructure sprinkler program has moved forward. They actually were here last week and went through the process of doing the updates and getting the system up and running. We're still not charging in this building, but they're coming back to do some final checks and balances to get the system fully commissioned, but we're right there finally, right? It's been a long awaited project. So, the other thing I just mentioned along with the invoice was the paratransit van order. All 14 vehicles are in now. We've got several out on the street. We're just finalizing some, wrapping up some installations and some vehicle decaling, but those are certainly well received and welcome to be in our fleet now and helping us ensure that we're meeting our vehicle requirements to get service out. So that's good news. Fixed route bus order, that's still planned for, well, actually you have an update on that one.
Yeah, it got BAE, which is our hybrid supplier. They have a shortage on power steering pumps. So it's been pushed a month. So now the build will happen the end of June, so the end of May. So it'll be early July, early to late July by the time we get them in service.
And that's reminded us the last 4 hybrids to replace our 2009s. So then we have our expansion project, and so I'll do 2 for 1 there on the update on that. Still waiting for final pre-bid concurrence from IDOT any day now, and so we got that and the packet the city for review, but once we get the go ahead from IDOT, then we'll be identifying our timelines for getting it published and getting the bid out. And again, the bid will be out on the street for at least a month. So I would anticipate at this point, we're looking at the June meeting before maybe we may be prepared in June. Not then we'll be in July. And once that's done, we may need to take a look at schedules in July. So stay tuned, but it's all hinging on the state's approval. Aside from that, not a lot else to report on the expansion project. And the final item on Dan's list was just an update on the shelter. So any questions on facilities? Okay, great. All right, then we'll move on. Next item that we have is our human resources reports, the RMT claims history, including your project for review. Obviously, positive trends continue on that. So what we'd like to see that expenses down. So that's good news. No other questions on that. We move on to marketing, approval of advertising contracts. Orlando.
Yeah, two contracts, this month. The first one is a substance abuse, program that helps fight against that. So they want to buy a couple shelters from us. So that's the first one. And then the second one is the city market. It's that time of year again, and the last couple of years we've been helping with, providing the trolley. So, with that, they also do some advertising on our bus to get the word out. So that's the two contracts.
I'll make a motion to approve the two advertising contracts.
A second.
All in favor?
Great. Anything else? Lynn?
Yeah, and then the special service request is kind of what I highlighted before, the trolley service that we provide from the beginning of May to the end of September. So as you know, we bring out the old school trolley that everybody loves. We ride around during those during the city market times on Fridays and, provide that service to the community for free. A lot of people enjoy that, and we keep a number of ridership throughout the years on that as well. So they asked for us to do it again, so we are bringing it to the board for approval.
I move that we approve the special service request for Rockford City Market.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving then on to grants. First off, we have approval of resolution R24-04 for the FTA bus and bus facilities grant application. So talked a little bit about this last month, but we are proposing to submit an application for just over $3 million to supplement the funding for our facility expansion project. And in particular, that funding is what we identified as the amount that would help fund the last phase of the project, which because of our cost escalations, kind of where we're at, a little concerned about fitting that into the original amount. So this would make sure that we've got enough funding to hopefully complete the entire project. That's most specifically on this federal side for the existing facility, because that was originally funded with FTA funds and using FTA funds for the FTA facility. So that's the scope of what we've asked those funds are requesting for those funds to use. So
And this is a discretionary grant, so it's not like the ones we normally apply for, just the formula grants, and then they just give us the money. Then we're actually competing against other districts for these funds.
yes.
So we have been fortunate the last couple of years. We got a Lono, the last 2 years, we've gotten a Lono each year. Lono emissions grants. So this year we're just applying for the bus and bus facility. So hopefully we're good again, and we hopefully will get the funds, but it's, $3 million, about $10,000.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution R-24-04.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the second grant we have is approval of resolution R24-05 FTA 5310 application. So this is the funds that were apportioned through the 5310 program to our urbanized area. The application process is run through R1, and we are applying through that process for several paratransit vehicles using the 5310 appropriated funds.
I do want to note that the amount on the application is incorrect. The number of vehicles is 5, but the unit cost per vehicle is actually $120,000. This is using the states, which is a non-changeable form. So it's 5 vehicles at $120,000, which is $600,000. And the call for projects is going to go to R1 planning. And then if they decide it, then you will see us come to the board again to apply in the federal side for this funds. If we're successful.
Well, I'll move that we approve resolution R-24-05 with the amended amount of 600,000.
600,000.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Just a couple notes real quick on the grant side. I just had an update from IDOT, the meeting last week. Speaking of vehicles, we're still awaiting our 2 electric demand response vehicles that were awarded under last year, or 2 years ago, last year's low, 2 years ago. So they are anticipating those, getting to us within the next 12 months. So that's an optimistic, update. Unfortunately, the CVP vehicles, of which we were awarded through IDOT, through their various contracts, I think we have, how many? Five coming.
We
through that.
applied for 6, but they gave us 5.
The electric vehicles will be here before those 5. So that's as good an update as we got. So those are over 12 months out. So this just kind of goes back to the point of our decision to go ahead and apply for those 14 vehicles with our own funding and get those under our own contract and move forward was a good decision based on where everyone else is in their timelines of delivering vehicles. So, but those are a couple of the vehicles we've discussed and obviously talked to the board about and reported on that we're expecting to receive, but not anytime soon.
Right. Well, and if we get the ones from the local projects that we're just applying for here, these 5, we'll have to decide if we want to buy out the state contract or go out.
So those some long timelines on vehicles. All right, moving on then to our safety and training report. So including the report, board's packet again this month was our safety report. Some positive numbers there comparatively, and updates on committee activity and training activity. Any questions?
Good report.
Mike, do you want to talk about the mobile eye?
Yeah, I've got that as the follow-up then. Another item I'd like to mention within the safety and training report, we have, we're piloting a collision avoidance system on 3 vehicles. We use some operating funds to purchase 3 units to install on 3 of our 2023 vehicles. The system's called Mobileye Shield. The system provides visible and audible alerts to the operator during detection of both vulnerable road users and vehicles. So essentially what it's identifying as you go down the street is there's possible incursions into the roadway, either pedestrians or bicyclists. It's providing audible alerts to the operator ahead of time. It's identifying the risk that's ahead to advise the operator, hey, be of note, there's something happening in front of you, take caution, identify and start braking. The system also has, in addition to that kind of roadway intrusion piece of just when you're in a straight line, it also identifies when you're in turning movements where you may potentially be seeing pedestrians crossing your path or motorists or bicyclists and alerting you to those. So it's a system that helps us reduce the risk of potential collision with things that are going on around us and just brings that heightened sense of awareness to the operator in advance of something happening. Additionally, it has some side-facing alerts as well for lane adherence and vehicles that are beside you. It also has some forward warning detection where if there's a vehicle stopped down a ways in front of you, it's going to pick that up and give you a notice in advance. And then if you're still not responding, it's going to give you a heightened alert to brake. So similar to some of the things that are in your cars, but this is one of those items that we want to start testing out to see how it functions, how reliable it is, what the upkeep is, how the operators are receptive to it. Initial reports are pretty good so far in terms of operators understanding what it does and what you're supposed to interact with it. One of the values of it on the back end is the data that you're accumulating from any one of those interactions that it's flagging that's occurring in the system. So there's some potential value long-term with our partners in the community when we look at reducing pedestrian risks in the roadway. We can identify those particular areas where we're seeing those types of things and share that with our roadway engineers and so forth. So again, in the pilot phase, seeing kind of how the system works, what the data is that we get out of it, so that we can take a look at, if and when we want to invest in a larger rollout of our systems. Sure.
That's great.
Questions?
So it's an add-on feature. Curious if future orders of buses will be replaced, does it become standard or?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we've done proactively is we've had the opportunity to pre-wire vehicles in advance so that if we decide to install this, it's ready to be more or less a plug and play because it does work in somewhat in coordination with our existing camera system as well. So, yeah, it would be something that we would continue then to do as part of this regular.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, so we're trying to reduce that risk.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, with that then, that takes us to other business. So we do have executive session today, to discuss our semi-annual review of, executive session meeting minutes. So here,
Do we want to just confirm that our next meeting is
Oh, yeah.
May 20th? At 10:30? That should be on your calendar. So we
I'm pretty sure it is.
Executive, we'll be going into executive session to discuss semi-annual review of executive session meeting minutes pursuant to 5 ILCS 122C21 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act.
Or motion to go into executive session.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
We're back in open session. Pursuant to 5 ILCS 120C 21 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act, no less than annually, a public body must meet to review minutes of all closed meetings. The executive session meeting minutes from the board meetings presented have been reviewed by myself with the advisement of counsel of what parameters to follow in deciding what executive session meeting minutes may be available for public inspection, and the ones that are continued to need for confidentiality. RMTD recommends the need for confidentiality still exists to the executive session meeting minutes as presented, and therefore should not be made available for public inspection. RMTD staff is requesting the RMTD board approve to keep the presented executive session meeting minutes confidential. And I just need your vote on that.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All
In
right,
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all right, we're good.
You make a motion to adjourn?
Yes, please.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
thank you.
We're good, Todd.